gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the FedEx Forum here in one of the great cities in the South, Memphis, Tennessee, where tonight, Square Ring Incorporated is proud to present 12 rounds of boxing for the IBF Light Heavyweight Championship of the World. Brought to you in association with Goose and Tudor Promotions, Prize Fight Boxing, Grand Casino Tunica, and Roy Jones Jr. presents Body Head Bangers. Sanctioned by the Tennessee Boxing Commission, Administrator Dan Kelly. The three judges at ringside scoring this contest will be Gerald Deming, Dan McClellan, and Fred Steinwinder. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Bill Clancy. And now, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing navy blue, official weight, 175 pounds. Professional record, 49 victories, including 38 knockouts with only 2 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenger from Pensacola, Florida, the former middleweight, former super middleweight, former 3-time light heavyweight, and former heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white, official weight, 174 pounds. Professional record, 40 victories, including 27 knockouts, with 9 defeats and 2 bouts even. From Miami, Florida, presenting the reigning, defending IBF Light Heavyweight Champion of the World, Glenn the Road Warrior Johnson.
Bring it here, Roy, coach. If this rides up, coach, at the top, it's going to be all right, okay? Right where it is good. Right there, Glenn. All right, gentlemen, we're within the rules of the locker room. Fighting for the IBF Light Heavyweight Championship of the World. I want a good, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times and make sure you obey my commands. Any questions here? Questions here? Touch gloves. Good luck. Go to work.
Roy Jones came back from his disappointment in the Olympics to win championships. He came back from being disqualified against Montel Griffin. Now he's being asked to start a comeback from a knockout.
And Larry, I think he's going to be successful too. I'm really impressed also with this tremendous crowd that he's got here. It still shows that he still is a superstar.
Arena holds 15,800 for boxing. We're told that more than 14,000 tickets were sold. The place looks close to full as Glenn Johnson attacks Roy Jones and tries to get him to remember what it was like to be rocked and knocked out by Antonio Tarver. And Jones smiling, but basically just trying to roll away from the punishment as Johnson attacks and attacks.
I think this is very amateurish and immature for Johnson to fight like this in the beginning with all the experience he's had. He's not landing anything effectively. Even the punches that looks like he's landing, Roy's leaning and using the ropes to take the strength out of the punches.
And it's clear that Jones expected it. But on the other hand, Jones is not responding yet by picking Johnson off with counter shots, although now he begins to as he rocks off the ropes with lefts and rights.
Yeah, and Johnson is not a big devastating puncher anyway.
But he did land a right hand flush on Jones's chin, and now he lands another right hand on the top of the head.
And burning up a lot of energy ineffectively.
And landing a left hook and demonstrating that he's not a devastating puncher, as Jones so far hasn't responded as if to show damage to any of these big power punches.
It may be amateurish, but it sure is effective so far. Remember that in their first fight, Tarver had Jones on the ropes most of the night.
Yeah, but the way that Johnson is going, he's going at an unbelievable pace.
Right.
Tonight.
But he's also landing some body punches.
He may not be expecting to fight 12 rounds either.
But body punches, when a guy's pulling his body back in the upright position, you don't really hurt him that much when he's leaning back.
Jones has landed some carefully selected counter shots, and now he backs Johnson up with one of them, and Glenn comes right back and tries to hammer Jones with another right hand over the top. Roy rolling forward to get away from those arcing overhand punches, and now pounds Johnson with a big left hand in the stomach.
Roy has landed some really heavy shots to the stomach. He might lose this round, but in the long term, that's not going to do Johnson any good either.
No, he may lose the round, but I think the round is going to his advantage going down the stretch because of the extremely big amount of energy that Johnson is expending.
But sometimes you don't get to the stretch if you hit a guy enough.
No, but I just don't see Johnson is not that big a puncher, and you can really see every punch coming. And Roy is rolling out and riding each punch as it comes, punch by punch.
Wait, no punch, no punch. I'm here. Step back.
Finally, they move away from the ropes, and Jones begins backing back toward the ropes. But round one is coming to a close. Most of the round taken up by Glenn Johnson's opening assault against Roy Jones.
Yeah, he threw it wide. Yeah. Watch when you're putting that stuff up there when I'm getting the mouthpiece on. Don't rush. Don't rush. Take your time. Okay, you good defense on the inside. Good defense on the inside. Keep come on, keep staying tight like that. Keep working on the body, okay? Keep working on the body. Look when
He's trying to land the left hook. He's trying to land the left hook to the body and watch the uppercuts. All right, but you got it, baby. You're cool. Take a shot. Here, let's go. Let me see the gloves. Nice and relaxed, G. You gotta work nice, baby. We got this. Listen to me. Listen to me. Look at me. We got this. Think smart, all right? Work smart, baby.
Johnson has never been in a major event like this, especially in the U.S., but he has fought a number of times abroad before big crowds.
Johnson in round one threw 84 punches by CompuBox count. Jones measuring his response through only 31. Johnson landing twice as many, 22-11. Now let's see if the opening assault redounds to Jones's advantage because of all the energy Johnson has expended.
I like the way that Johnson is looking here a lot better. He's putting pressure on Roy, fighting Roy at a closer range than Roy is comfortable at, and still not overexpending his punches too much. And if he can continue this on, now he has a good pattern that he's fighting at right now, and a good style and rhythm.
He's trying to make this a power punching contest with Jones rather than allowing Jones to use his hand speed to advantage, which is how he has won most of his fights.
Yeah, I agree, but the first round I think was a little excessive. I thought it was just too many punches when Roy was rolling back and taking the steam out of the punches. He's fighting it to me at a good pattern and a good speed right now.
But maybe the lesson in the post-Tarver Jones world is that no opponent is ever going to treat Roy Jones with quite as much respect again as was the case prior to that first fight with Tarver.
Absolutely. In fact, the more that you cut down that distance where he doesn't have that chance to do that little counter punching, the more difficult it is for Roy to be effective.
Most fighters we've seen who have attempted to be aggressive early in the fight against Jones would soon find themselves getting beaten to the punch and would back off. That will be the test for Johnson.
But so far, Johnson's fighting a very good style this round here.
Getting in a left to the body, missing with the wide swinging right hand. But again, it's Johnson with all the activity, and Jones is just dodging, looking, occasionally picking a spot to counter.
Another thing to consider here is that Johnson, although he has the title, has come here with the attitude of an underdog who feels he has to win decisively to get a decision.
Give me a clean break, I'm here.
Jones seems mostly concerned in these first couple of rounds with not expending too much energy against Johnson's early assault. And now Jones begins to take over the impetus of the trading situation.
And what's been interesting, even though Roy's tried his flashy shots here and there, he has not been that effective himself in hitting Johnson clean as he probably would like.
You see Johnson's defensive position. He holds his right hand high and close to his chin. Both gloves go up as Jones approaches. Jones manages to get in a little left hook pop to the chin.
Give me a break, Quentin. Let him out.
But more than anything, if Johnson gives you something, it's the body.
That's a very good clean right hand lead. Now Roy's starting to get his rhythm now.
Come on, Glenn. Get your punches up, son.
Glenn Johnson landed a couple on Jones's trunks. Not hard shots. Referee Bill Clancy said keep them up. 2 rounds in the books of a scheduled 12 in Memphis, Tennessee.
Let me get you to work the jab a little bit more. Put that buck in the middle, y'all. Work your jab. Work your jab a little bit more. Change up on it, okay? Fight strong. Then throw the power shots, okay? Don't wait on your counter so much. Just keep that windshield wiper going. This guy ain't got no snap on his stuff no more. A little bit on the hand? Here, come on. Stay sharp, baby. Give me a lot of feints now. You land that right hand, come back with the hook, okay?
No. Punch him in his right eye, any way you can on the body. Shoot the right hand low. Shoot that right hand low. All right? Do not load up like that again. Don't load up like that. Don't showboat. Stay tight and right. Let's go. Get up.
Trainer Orlando Cuellar telling Glenn Johnson don't load up anymore and don't showboat. Obviously Johnson, in his view, has done enough in the first couple of rounds to make the impression he wanted to make and now needs to go back into his envelope.
Cuellar has been with Johnson for about 3 fights since Johnson decided that if he's not going to get the decision in close fights, he has to become more aggressive to try to take the fights and not hope to get them.
Now Jones is choosing to counter virtually every Johnson shot. Ducks a couple of them there. But the counters were working perfectly for the first several seconds of the round.
Get out. Break it clean.
Jones appears to be doing more damage on the inside.
Yeah, with much more short, effective, well-placed punches.
And it becomes clear that at least until Glenn Johnson runs out of gas, this is the fight we're going to see.
Yes, and it's not really a comfortable fight for Roy, even though it looks good for Roy, maybe going down the stretch. But from this point on, from what I can see, Johnson has given Roy a much rougher fight than he expected.
Well, anybody who saw the first Tarver fight might say to himself reasonably, I want to take him to the ropes, and I want to pressure him all night long. He didn't like it against Tarver.
He had a controversial fight, the first fight, being in the ropes, and was knocked out in the second fight in the ropes.
Jones beginning to do significant damage with counter shots, particularly to the body. And now the crowd begins to warm to the task as Roy Jones puts together punches in combination.
And Johnson is coming right back at him, which I'm quite sure Roy's a little surprised at. I know I am myself.
Johnson cracking Jones with the right hand. Jones comes back with the right of his own.
10 seconds. Keep him up, Roy. Keep him up.
Listen, the only thing is you can't let him get off like that. You got to, once he starts getting off, just pop that jab. When he starts loading up like that, just pop that jab. You keep him honest. All right?
He doesn't like what you're giving him, Len.
Pace yourself. Let's go back to our work. You all right? All right, you got this. You got 1 minute to relax, baby. You got 1 minute.
Roy Jones is so accurate with his pinpoint punches that even though he's getting bombarded with wide punches, he's more effective with short punches through the middle.
Jones has never been a power puncher as a light heavyweight. He's been more of a doubles and triples hitter than a home run hitter, but he has beaten some fighters down in the late rounds with these kinds of stiff punches.
Copy box numbers in round 3. Jones opened up on offense for the first time. 22 out of 52 power shots landed. Harold, how do you have it scored through 3?
Okay, Jim, 29-28, 2 rounds to 1, Glenn Johnson. Jim, I gotta tell you something. The greatness of Roy Jones Jr. was always that when you rushed him, when you threw a punch at him, he wasn't there. He'd crack you with a left hook, and he'd move. He'd spin, he'd get the hell out of there. In this fight, Johnson could get him just like that. Jones is right in front of him. In the 3rd round, I thought Roy was more elusive. He won that on good defense, but so far, it's Glenn Johnson on effective aggressiveness.
Is Harold right, Emmanuel? Does Jones, in your view, not have the legs that he had as recently as 2-3 years ago?
Well, he's not using them, and I agree with Harold 100%. At this stage here, Johnson is fighting a perfect fight.
Break it clean. Step
I
back.
think he expanded too much the first round, but beyond that, he's keeping pressure on Roy. He's making Roy fight sometimes when he doesn't want to fight. And he's been able to take the punches that Roy has hit him with and always to come right back.
Maybe what Johnson wanted to accomplish in round 1 was to put Jones back into a defensive frame of mind, knowing that Jones might want to come in here and do something spectacular.
Well, if that's was his goal, he did succeed in doing that, because Roy's whole mindset now is basically backing up, pot shotting every once in a while, and then for the most part trying to stay in the ropes and rest.
Which is a great way to earn a 12-round decision, but not a great way to do something spectacular.
That's right, and he needs a spectacular win.
Quick left hook for Jones, landed as he backed up. Johnson shows no effects and jumps in with the right hand.
And in the past, Roy has had great success with that same combination right there. It's called a check left hook, where he pulls back and throws a hook as the opponent's coming in. But in this case here, it wasn't that effective.
Back on the neck.
And Johnson landed a nice shot right here and there.
Hands are free. Punch and get out of there.
Had a great conversation with Glenn Johnson's promoter, Dan Goosen, moments before the start of the fight. And I said, Dan, it would be nice to be able to go in and try to out-energy Jones, but your man is 35 years old also. And Dan said, yes. He may be the same age as Jones, but he's not as rich as Jones. So he's much, much hungrier.
And he's fighting like that, too.
10 seconds.
And he himself said to us, the $1 million wasn't it. I don't feel my career is complete because I made $1 million payday.
All right, body working good, Bob. Body working good. Keep that left side. Keep that left shoulder. Keep that left shoulder. Keep that left shoulder up now, but he's throwing it overhand right, okay?
Kiss it like this.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Let's keep it up. Let's keep it up.
All right, Doc.
On the inside.
Good? Can we maintain this pace? Yeah. If we can maintain this pace, we got this fight. That's what it's going to take. Keep working the way you're working. Watch the uppercut.
With Roy in the ropes, Glenn gets close to him and starts on a short overhand right just at the same time that Roy was shooting the uppercut. Definitely no-no when you're laying in the ropes. It's a shoot uppercut.
But Roy has always broken a lot of the rules. I mean, when you say a definite no-no, that's the kind of thing which has sometimes been an asset to Roy Jones because his physical skills have allowed him to do things that other fighters shouldn't try to do.
Yeah, but right now it looked like his skills are slow just a little bit. And Johnson is fighting almost a perfect computer printout fight, putting pressure on, and his most effective punch still seems to be that little short jab.
And you heard Johnson's trainer, Orlando Cuellar, between rounds, who said If you can keep up this pace, you've got this fight. Jones probably doesn't believe Johnson can keep up this pace.
I seriously have doubts myself at this stage here. I don't know if he can keep this pace up, but I agree. If he can keep this pace up, he's definitely going to be in the running for winning the decision.
Well, also, if he's the aggressor throughout, there are bound to be some rounds that are very close. It could help him get those rounds.
But you know it's going to go to Roy or any rounds that's close.
He thinks, Johnson does, that in order to get a decision, it would have to be a landslide. Logic tells you he's probably right. He's conditioned by experience to expect that. Watching the way Glenn Johnson is fighting here, you might find it impossible to believe that, for instance, he lost 4 fights in a row.
Jones may be hurt.
In
It was a
99.
big right hand.
He was hurt by the right hand.
And a left hook, and Jones shakes his head, which is almost always a surefire sign that the fighter is hurt and is trying to shake it off. Good double left hook by Jones. Good right hand body shot by Johnson. Misses a big right hand upstairs. Now Jones comes back with a right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. Right hand lands for Jones. Johnson goes to the body.
Roy Jones has never been in a firefight like this.
You know, he's a better puncher than Johnson, but, you know, Johnson is just outworking him right now.
Crowd is chanting Roy, Roy, Roy. And he's coming back at Glenn Johnson with serious firepower now. Johnson may be hurt.
Nope, Johnson is not hurt. He's got him with some tremendous shots, and he's walking Roy right back down.
When a fighter gets old who has been a great boxer, dominating with boxing, he slows down just enough to get into some serious,
Exciting.
exciting fights.
Well, it's already 5 of the most exciting rounds Roy Jones has ever experienced anywhere in his career. And the crowd is largely on its feet.
Well, they
In
should,
this
because
brand new arena.
this is a good fight, and Roy still is very dangerous in this fight.
Jones smiling and winking at his corner as he walks back. But early in the round, Glenn Johnson had some moments that made Roy Jones look very precarious.
Give me some in the ring, a little from the middle of the ring, something. Now, don't stay in the ropes all the time. Okay, don't give him all he wants. Okay? Okay, you can switch it up, but don't stay on the ropes all the time.
Now. You're taking this out right now, G. Nice and relaxed. We got this? Glenn, do we have this? I need you to stay tight, baby. I need you to stay tight just like you're doing. Work behind that jab. You got his ass. You got his number. All right? Keep your hands going. Don't let him get off like that.
Right here you see Glenn Johnson landing the right hand that Roy just didn't see. Just a case of just playing the numbers game. Glenn is throwing so many punches. And now you see Roy coming back with his lightning fast combinations.
There was a time when Roy Jones didn't get hit with those kinds of long punches.
Through round 5, CompuBox numbers find Glenn Johnson having landed 73 out of 281. Jones landing 57 out of 203. Johnson throwing more, landing more, leading on Harold Letterman's card. Interesting drama developing here in Memphis. Kind of a phony war for the first minute of round 6. Both fighters seem to be getting a bit of a rest. But it's Johnson who calls the tune. If he wants to come after Jones, Jones won't get a rest.
This is this type of a fight that Roy likes to fight.
Now that Johnson's beginning to slow down a bit.
Yeah, but maybe Johnson just kind of taking a break. You know, it's pretty hard to maintain the pace that he had set for the entire fight.
I think both fighters wanted to take a minute off to begin round 6, and they did.
They wanted a 2-minute rest between rounds.
The kind of willpower, the kind of concentration, the kind of devotion that it's going to take for Jones to beat a hungry opponent like Glenn Johnson. Does he still have it?
I believe that Royce has the ability to pull it out because he still seems to have mentally good focus. And his punches with still so much more accuracy and pinpoints power than Johnson does.
You can almost sense a certain kind of confusion or maybe disappointment in the crowd because they were looking for Roy Jones to put on an old Roy Jones show. And suddenly he's in a real fight.
Yes, it is. And no one expected this. This is supposed to have been this big outcome and a show fight for Roy, so to say.
Well, maybe Memphis is going to become a sort of boxing graveyard of legends. There was a fellow named Tyson who got buried by Lennox Lewis here, June 8, 2002. He had a big rep. Crowd was here to see him too. Johnson with a good 1-2 against the ropes.
10 seconds, work or get out of there.
Now muscling Jones back into the corner.
5 seconds.
Jones hasn't done much offensively in round 6. Watching from the crowd, Antonio Tarver kind of hoping for a third fight with Roy Jones, but so far, no evidence here that we're on the verge of heading toward Jones-Tarver 3. There's a lot of work to be done before that fight could be set up.
And the gentleman in the blue shirt there is the great Jerry West, who general manages the professional basketball team here.
Yep, the Memphis Grizzlies, who emerged as a junior contender, a contender in training for the Western Division crown last year.
All right, you got this. All right, stay busy. Don't give him room. Stay on him. As soon as he hits you once, you answer right back.
Halfway through, scheduled for 12 rounds in Memphis. Roy Jones comeback fight after being knocked out by Antonio Tarver. Jabs through round 6. Jones 5 out of 49. Johnson 26 out of 132. Another category in which Johnson is outnumbering Jones. Let's see if he's outnumbering him on Harold Letterman's scorecard.
Okay, Jim. I tell you, Jim, if Roy Jones loved me as much as I loved him, we'd be married. But I got to tell you, when you win, you win, and when you lose, you lose. 5 rounds to 1, 59-55, Glenn Johnson. Clean punching, effective aggressiveness, taking him up on the ropes and beating him up.
I have it 4 rounds to 2.
Either way, it's kind of difficult to fathom a scorecard that would have Jones in the lead, at least off what we've seen so far. But we are not working with globally recognized or experienced judges here. The judges are from Tennessee, Kentucky, and Mississippi. And the appearance of these kinds of judges at fights which take place at this level, pretty rare.
Especially when you're dealing with one of the top premier athletes in the world in Roy Jones. You figured you'd have some very good experienced officials in here. World championship caliber officials. So let's just hope that we get good decisions. If it does, they end up going to the decision tonight.
Crowd begins to boo as they expected more action. Now Jones steps in and puts a little left hook on the face of Glenn Johnson. Jones missing underneath with the left hook. Johnson's just basically biding his time now. Probably feels as though he's built a lead on the scorecards and waiting to see what Jones is going to try to do about it.
Watch your hands.
Not much is landing, but Jones isn't throwing much, and Johnson continues to hold the initiative.
You know, I think a number of those punches are landing. Maybe not hard, but they're unanswered.
And the fact that Jones is landing the ropes too.
That right hand landed on Jones's
Step back,
face.
Glenn. Step back. Let him out. Let him out.
Well, it's one thing to smile and show us that you weren't hurt by the punch, but exactly what,
10
RJ,
seconds.
is the plan for winning the fight? That's what's missing so far.
Roy still has not been able to sustain a good combination attack.
That's another round where it would have been difficult to pick Jones as the winner. Tune to Inside the NFL every Wednesday night throughout the football season. Join hosts Bob Costas, Chris Collinsworth, Dan Marino, and Chris Carter for a mix of exclusive game highlights, in-depth features, analysis, and predictions. And don't miss Dan's conversation with quarterbacking legend Joe Namath next week on Inside the NFL.
You'll be able to find some holes now. Okay, you got your little breather that round. Got your little breather that round. Let's lay some hands on him this time. Let's lay some hands.
Up that jab, all right? Don't let him get set. That's the only thing I'm telling you this round. Remember that. Don't let him get set. All right, let's get that shit out of here.
When Alton Murchison says to Roy Jones calmly, lay some hands on him, that is an urgent call to get going.
He's observing the obvious. Jones, according to CompuBox, threw 15 punches in the 7th round. Johnson threw 45. So there are 7 rounds in the book. Maybe Glenn Johnson's won 5 of them. Maybe he's won 6 of them. Either way, logic tells you Roy Jones needs a rally or a knockout going down the stretch.
Yeah, and I think he's going to pretty much realize that as the fight goes on. Because he hasn't been able to put combinations together. He throws one flashy punch at a time, maybe to get the attention of the crowd, but he really can't put 3, 4, or 5 shots together on Johnson.
Well, and Johnson is also jabbing with him.
And it's the most effective punch, a short jab.
Roy never depended on or had a great jab. I mean, one of the unusual aspects of him was he had these remarkable reflexes in which he was a boxer who didn't jab.
But what is happening, Johnson is getting closer to the distance that he shoots his jab, and Roy don't have time to time it.
And you wonder.
He's not used to guys fighting this close.
How does Roy Jones expect to win the fight, fighting at a pace which seems to tell us that he's more interested in avoiding the action than in being a part of it?
Well, I think he's dependent on the fact that he can knock out Johnson. As Johnson gets tired going down the stretch, I really believe he thinks he can knock him out.
That's a little bit of a high wire act at this point. Johnson isn't an easy man to knock out.
Especially in view of the fact that, as you reminded me of the beginning, Larry, that he doesn't knock out that many people in the light heavyweight division in later rounds.
Watch your head. Watch your head.
See, those punches are so
Jones
short.
hasn't had a knockout since February 24, 2001. No, excuse me. He knocked out Clinton Woods in the 6th round to TKO in Portland in 2002. But it's been 2 years since Jones's last knockout. He went the distance with Ruiz and Tarver before being knocked out by Tarver.
He's just getting out-hustled, outworked at close quarters. Something we've never seen him in this kind of fight, and we have to simply attribute it to the fact that he's a 35-year-old athlete who's always depended on his extraordinary reflexes to win.
And I think also the fights with Tarver has given all of his opponents much more confidence now.
That's the point. He's not getting treated with the kind of respect that he has commanded throughout his career. Johnson's not here to give him that kind of respect.
Yeah. So far, this is Hurricane Glenn Johnson landing on him.
Now, Roy's being more aggressive now.
And that's another round that would have been difficult to score in the favor of Roy Jones. And the crowd is beginning to boo because they came here expecting to see Jones win. And Antonio Tarver is on the cell phone saying, what do I do if Jones isn't available for me to fight?
Maybe he's talking to Bernard Hopkins.
You got 4 more rounds. Okay?
I don't rule it out.
4 more rounds. Okay? All right.
Have fun, baby. This is your title, baby. This is your show.
He's looking for the left uppercut or left hook to the body. That's what he's looking for. Watch that left hand.
Jab to that left shoulder when he's trying to set.
All right, here we go.
There was a time when Roy Jones didn't lose this many fights, this many rounds in 6 fights.
In the last 2 rounds, by CompuBox count, Johnson has outlanded Jones 36-12. Jones, in rounds 7 and 8 combined, threw a total of 40 punches. This is no way to win a decision.
I think you're going to see Roy at this round. I think panic is setting in. Now you're going to see him do whatever he wants to do or has to do. He's going to start doing it this round right now. I think he really realizes that he's getting in jeopardy of losing the fight. Before he felt it was okay.
Well, he turned it up against
He takes a right hand and a left hand, and he's on the canvas again for the 2nd time in 2 fights. And for the 2nd time in 2 fights, he's not going to get up, and he's been knocked out again.
Will we ever see Roy Jones
Nope.
in the ring again?
Not the one you're used to seeing, because we didn't see him tonight. We saw the guy who got knocked out by Tarver getting knocked out by Glenn Johnson.
And he is still out on the canvas and hurt badly.
In our meeting yesterday, Roy Jones made it clear that he didn't think Tarver's knockout of him suggested he had deteriorated as a fighter. Quote, "It could happen to anybody. It could have happened earlier in my career." Fact is, he's not the same fighter.
He has not moved. He's still laying in the same position he hit the floor in.
And that could be the product of his having hit his head on the canvas
Yes, it is.
when he went down unconscious from the second of the 2 punches that Johnson landed. Frankly, it was a one-sided fight, which ended in a knockout victory for the guy who had dominated it from the opening bell. Now Jones begins to talk, but there's concern as he lies on the canvas, still motionless. And Emmanuel Stewart, you said it in the first round, Glenn Johnson isn't that big a puncher. For Glenn Johnson, who's not that big a puncher, to have done this damage to Roy Jones tells us, A, that Jones got hit way too many times.
Well, this goes back to the numbers game. You know, Johnson was permitted to throw so many punches, and even if you have a low percentage, you sooner or later got to start landing. And he let him throw too many punches. But this was a round I figured Roy was going to come out and let it all hang out, and he gets knocked out himself.
You may never have dreamed that you would see Oscar De La Hoya and Roy Jones, the 2 leading lights of their generation in boxing, getting knocked out in successive weekends. But that's the kind of sport we've got. This is the first time in his career that Glenn Johnson has ever knocked out an opponent past the 6th round. Glenn Johnson's a guy who's lost 9 fights in his career.
Well, all praises have to be given to Glenn Johnson. He did an unbelievable job, especially considering the whole crowd, the atmosphere, everything here was so pro Roy Jones Jr.
And this is the 3rd loss of Jones's career, 2nd consecutive knockout loss. And I have to wonder, how much money is in Jones Tarver now? How about Glenn Johnson versus Antonio Tarver?
Well, it'll be very interesting.
It makes a lot more sense.
It'll be very interesting. I really don't think that Roy's going to fight much beyond this round.
Antonio Tarver just watched a few million go out the window. And we're going to take a look back at the knockout so you can see the devastating 1-2 combination which knocked Roy Jones out. Right hand, crunch. Now the left hook. And it was really the right hand that did the damage. The left hook was just a push on the shoulder to get him to go down. The right hand had already knocked him cold.
and his head hit the canvas very hard.
That's right. And the head bounced twice against the canvas. And there's your winner. A nicer guy you'll never meet in our sport. 35 years old, graduate of Coral Gables High School in Miami, left Jamaica when he was 9, an American citizen who loves the United States, but loves Jamaica as well. A guy who's always been cast as the other guy. Now he's the guy, as Michael Buffer is about to tell you.
Here in Memphis, Tennessee, the end comes at 48 seconds of round number 9. The winner by knockout victory, and still the IBF light heavyweight champion of the world, Glenn the Road Warrior Johnson.